Yes.
So
Hello,
nice to have
everyone.
you here to be in conversation. There's so many questions I want to ask you. I hope I can represent the questions that the audience has as well. I think the biggest thing that comes to mind is to think about you being at the helm of Coty's transformation over the last 2 years, one of the most impressive in the beauty industry. And as I thought about that, I thought that had to come with some challenging, daunting moments, I'm sure. So I'm curious mostly, what were some of your personal motivations and values that really helped you get through the harder times of the last 2 years?
Yes, that's a good question. In fact, hello, everyone. So, at the end of the day, what I try to do in everything I do is to focus on what matters, what's important, in fact. We are surrounded by so many things, so many people telling you what you should do, what you shouldn't do, etc. At the end of the day, my job is to create great products that people use every day in the bathroom, wherever they are. And I focused on this when I started at Coty. I said, okay, let's look at this company. Do they have the right brands? Yes. Do they have the right R&D, science people, marketing guys, etc.? Yes. There is no region. This company is not, the fastest growing company in the beauty industry, which it is today. So I focused on this. I spent time talking to, people in laboratories, talking to people about what went wrong for some brands. If you think about one of the key brands of the company, which is CoverGirl. I was working at L'Oreal years and years ago, and I remember watching CoverGirl, and CoverGirl was leading the way. It was the brand to follow. Right. And then you come back 10 years, 15 years later, and this brand got lost. Mm-hmm. And it got lost usually for the same reasons, because the people in charge were looking at the others. Mm. And when you look at the others, you just forget who you are, and therefore you do all the mistakes. And they ticked all the boxes of all the mistakes that were possibly done, in a way. Yeah. Which in a way says, okay, there is no more mistakes to do, so let's come back to the reality of the brand, what the brand stands for, etc. And this brand is one of the most loved brands in the US, to take this example. So I said, when you have love from consumers, the only thing you need to do is not to betray these consumers. Give them the right quality, tell them the right story, and represent them the right way. Mm. So coming back to the basic of my what I'm passionate about, which is to create the most beautiful, the most, of course, today sustainable, more than ever, products is what I am good at. So let's do what I'm good at.
I love that you said that they betray themselves because they're not being themselves. So I want to find out a little more about you.
Yeah.
They've called you in the media a beauty industry savant, and they have attributed that to you talking about your love of fashion and beauty as a much younger person.
Yeah.
How did fashion and beauty help you understand yourself, come into yourself? What was the role of that in your life as you were discovering your own truth?
Yeah, that's also has to do with who you are when you are very young. All of us, I guess, we were at an age where we are looking for the way. What's my way of being, what can I do, etc. And I was living in North Africa, in Algeria, in fact, until 16 years old. And I remember my father was traveling a lot, and he was coming back with these wonderful magazines. And I read every magazine, from the first page to the last page. I remember being fascinated by, Isabella Rossellini, who was doing Lancôme at that time. Mm. And I would have never thought that 20 years later, I'll be leading this brand, Lancôme for years and years. And these faces, my father was a politician, but he was also a painter. And I was asking him, explain to me, what happens on the face, how does light travel on the face, etc. And he told me a lot of things that helped me throughout my life today in terms of what it is to be beautiful. It's not a question of perfection, it's a question of the lights that come from you, etc. And this stays with me, which was, in a way, the way I rebuilt Lancôme years and years ago. And it helped me also to understand that this is one vision of beauty. The other vision of beauty that was really exciting for me, as I was a teenager, and I was also fascinated by, new romantics from this city, in fact. For those who, knew or heard about the Blitz, which is this very famous place here in London, where, a full generation of artists I'm thinking about a guy I love to quote, Steve Strange, who was showing a different way of being beautiful. So at a very young age, I understood that there is the conventional classical beauty, and there is the different one, the one that also speaks to a lot of us, in fact. And it gave me the permission, in fact, to dare both, to play with both, to say I would love to look like Isabella Rossellini, but I would also love to look like Steve Strange, who was painting his face in white and having, this kind of, like a Pierrot, and he was having this very strange makeup, etc. And this helped me to define a kind of understanding of what people are looking for. In fact, my passion is to understand what people are looking for, how they feel good or how they feel better. This is so important in our business. A lot of people try to create products that they think and looks that go with this product they think is what people are looking for. In fact, they don't think about what makes these people feel better. And what makes you feel better is very different. What makes you feel better is probably different what makes me feel better or what makes her or him feel better. So it's important for me to listen, to talk to people, to be, in the middle of a train, watching everyone, trying to understand the relationship between what they wear, what they put on their face, what they smell, etc. And voila. So these are the defining, I would say, moments of my youth that I still continue to use today, in fact.
And that evolves as you change. And so for me, when I think about evolution, I really describe it as continuing to shed your old skin to come into a newer, more aligned with your truth skin. What does transformation mean for you personally? And how did you apply that personal definition and journey of transformation to Coty's transformation recently?
For me, transformation is about addition. I hate the idea to replace things one by the others. It's my choice. I understand that other people love maybe to erase something that they feel not comfortable with and to replace it with something new. When it comes to my personal journey, it was really an addition of the different me's I have been in my past lives and I'm today, and hopefully I'll be in the future. So it's really about addition of the young person I was, the teenager, and then the young person and the woman I am today, leading this, as you said, big conglomerate in the beauty world. And this addition helps me a lot because in a way, I can easily come back to where I come from. I don't get lost, because the worst is to get lost because you think that you're there, you're at the top, etc. So for me, it's very important to remember where I come from.
Yeah.
The young person I was, the challenges I had, but also the luck that I have, and the fact that most of the time, at that time, there were moments where I felt it's so difficult. Probably less difficult than you, Denise, but so difficult. And I went through, and I use this as a tool today. Every time a situation is complicated, I say to myself, you'll find a solution. Be patient. And patience is super important, in life. We are in a world where everything needs to be fast. People want to make it happen immediately. And that's the worst because you put pressure on yourself at the end of the day. So being patient and say, okay, there might be a solution somewhere. Let's wait, let's think, let's talk, let's exchange, and the solution will come. And sometimes things solve by themselves, in fact. So that's the way I would summarize, this idea of addition that allow you to travel back to where you come from.
I love that. Let's talk about other people.
Yeah.
So you can hold on to your truth as much as you want, but there's others who are also telling you what good looks like.
Yeah.
And so much of the way we define success is on how other people see our success, particularly when there's shareholders and others involved too. When you've been asked about success, you've said, don't assimilate, anticipate.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you, that quote? And can you talk a little bit about resisting the urge to assimilate or conform in order to make other people happy, but to follow what you know is true instead?
I think in business it's obvious, in fact. Being different in business is the best asset you can bring to the table, in fact. And this is what I tell to anyone I meet since, my first, day at Coty, but also in my previous lives. I always try to anticipate, not imitate, because the world is full of copycats. People are looking to each other. Remember the story of CoverGirl, where the teams at that time were looking to the others and they became the others.
Right.
And they got lost. So that's what I try to say. Difference is not only a chance, but in business, it's an asset. Difference requires less money to stand out. You know, people say we need money, and I hear sometimes some people from my teams telling, you know, we have a great project, but we need a lot of money to stand out versus competition. And the only question I tell them is, don't think about money. Is your project, your story, what you're bringing to the world different enough, bringing something new, making people feel better, making them dream, showing them different ways or not? If not, yes, you'll need a lot of money to stand out. If yes, no, you don't need money. Just be there, and they will talk to each other and make your story the main story.
Yeah.
So, and this is what I share also, of course, at you know, the board level of Coty. It's great, you know, to have people around me who are supporting this vision, you know, 360 degrees. And they all understand that this industry is a very sophisticated industry. It's an industry where only the passionate people can succeed, where only those who are looking for this specific difference can make a success.
I have a question for the younger members of the audience or people who are just starting out and watching you, and what they see is such a centered, rooted, confident person. Do you have moments of self-doubt?
Of course.
And how do you manage that when you are running such a massive brand?
I would say two things. I have moments, like everyone. Second, you need to find who is your alter ego. And I found my alter ego. You know, I created a brand called Orveda after I left L'Oréal and before joining Coty, which is a great skincare brand. And I created it with someone who is very important in my life. His name is Nicolas. And when I have doubts, we talk, we fight, we you know, reassure each other. And that's super important, you know, specifically in the world of today, in the world of business. Find someone, whoever is this person. It could be someone from your family, someone you love, someone you hate, whoever. You just need someone to confront with about your fears. It's important that these fears that look for you like a mountain, for the person in front of you is just nothing. And the opposite can happen because, you know, we don't have the same fears. So look for the person who could be, in a way, your medication, if I may say. You know, you take it every time you need it and you feel better. Sometimes you don't find, and therefore you may have resources inside. And there I say sometimes to the young people two things. The first thing is to say, it's not the end of the world. What's going to happen is not a problem. So yes, let's imagine the worst scenario happens. Will you be alive? Yes, that's the most important. And the second thing I love to say to people, because people today are all looking for, specifically in business, they ask me what's the advice you can give us, etc. And I said to them, it's going to surprise you. I said to them, don't look for love, look for respect. It's more important than love, because love is here and it can go because we are human beings. And that's it. Respect is something that stands the test of time, stands anything else. So these are the two things I would say to this, people who are looking at least to take a bit of my experience.
Beautiful. So we were talking backstage, you know that I'm an intuition coach. And so for me, success for people looks like really being aligned with and honoring your inner wisdom. How do you remain aligned with and honoring your inner wisdom? How do you work with, you were very telling me such great stories about how you use intuition to lead. How do you stay in that truth as a leader?
You know, intuition is what makes us human beings. You know, data is about machines, and we all know this. So if we don't use intuition, we're dead. At the end of the day, of course, study if you are in the business, understand what you are surrounded by, learn your data if you feel better. But at the end of the day, use your intuition to make decisions. You know, I love to say that intuition is intelligence that takes a shortcut. And people always oppose both, you know. In fact, intuition is above intelligence. I do believe this is the greatest asset a human being can have, and that a machine will never have, by the way. So it's super important that you keep in mind that this intuition allows you to save money, to avoid the wrong decisions, but also to feel empowered. So voila, that's the way I would summarize it.
And can you share a little bit about disagreement? What do you advise younger members of your team when you have a very strong opinion about something and they have an intuitive feeling? What do you want to see them doing to meet you there or to really honor their own gut feeling?
We just, issued a kind of, purpose, vision, and values for the company, etc., so that people understand what I have in my mind, what we can talk together about, etc. And we call it fearless kindness, in fact. That's the way I would summarize it. Be fearless and be kind at the same time. If you're just kind, sometimes people confuse kindness and censorship. They don't dare to be, not agreeing with you. They don't dare to express who they are because they think this is going to make you uncomfortable, and therefore I don't say anything. So imagine a world where we don't say anything to each other because we want to be kind. It would be a dystopia, if I may say. The other way is, we need to be fearless. But fearlessness sometimes can hurt others.
Right.
So you need to find this balance between being fearless and being kind.
Yeah.
That's the way we are, in a way, acting in this company. That's the way I would like us to be acting on a daily basis in this company.
And when you introduced this new purpose and vision and values, how did your personal values influence the values of Coty?
They were totally intrigued. You cannot run a company and in a way write a purpose, vision, and value story if you don't feel this is the right thing to do. So it's really who I am deeply, where is my story, and where I want to take this company and the brands that are part of the company too. So it's really one story. And It's not two different stories. It's not, I hate what I call marketing words, that people use because these are the words they have heard that are all over the media, etc. I try really to look for words that have a meaning. And it's important because words are weapons. They are very, very strong. So I said, use the right words, use them properly, but use words to express where you want to go, etc. So that's the way I would answer your question.
And what are some of those values that are very personal to you that then translated to?
Fearlessness, kindness, forward thinking, co-creation. No one knows where is the truth. The truth is probably coming from the confrontation of many people around the table or around the teams today, if I may say. So voila, these are key words and listening. I think it's super important to listen. A lot of people don't listen. They are just there politely looking at you, and they do what they have in their mind. I try to listen, and sometimes I totally change my decisions because what I heard creates a good doubt in me.
Yeah. Okay, so my last question for you. As you look forward into the future, and I'd love to hear this both personally and professionally, what are you most excited about?
To continue to do what I'm good at. At the end of the day, this is what makes us feel great. When you feel you find your place, when you feel what you're doing has a positive impact, when you feel that what you are doing can give hope. For me, it's very important, this notion of hope. I spend a lot of time traveling, visiting the different countries where this company is operating. I was in Brazil 10 days ago, in Singapore, and before in the US, of course, a lot of times. I was in Barcelona yesterday. And in fact, what I say to my teams is, I don't ask you to be perfect, for example, when it comes to the diversity topic. I just want you to give hope. It's so important that you give hope to the youngers me, the youngers you, that it's possible. When there is hope, everything is possible. So that's in a way the source of energy personally for the future. Professionally, I would say that my source of energy comes from, coming back to the first question, I'm a skincare passionate. I'm an engineer in biochemistry, in environmental science before, becoming a business person. And the fact that I've been spending the last 2 years creating probably what are going to be the best and the most efficient skincare formulations people can find, at the same time very efficient, but taking care of your skin, which is really our motto. This keeps me awake, sometimes late at night and early in the morning. But I'm excited because the only thing I'm waiting for is to see people telling me, hey, Sue, I bought this or this. I love it. Look, my skin looks much better. And it's not just a question of age. It's a question of just making people feel better, feeling, healthy, taking care of themselves the right way. So that's the way I would summarize it. I see that the light is red over there, so I need to make
Well,
it
listen, I think I speak for all of us when I say I think you've given us some hope and some inspiration to really embrace our own identity as we go forward. So thank you for the
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.